kind of put it together to appeal to the next generation. And let's start with the subject of disruption. I think is a good place to start, really. Aphroditi, I'm going to come to you. With Dishoom, for example, when you first set up Dishoom, would you see that as a disruptor in the market?
I think so, and I think most people saw it as a disruptor to the point where people didn't really believe in it. Yeah. So while we were creating the concept back in 2008, it took a lot of persuasion to convince people that this would be a success. It took about 2 years to take it from zero to what effectively became the launch of a really innovative restaurant, not just within the Indian casual dining, but within the whole restaurant London scene, I believe. And the reason it took so long is because it took an awful lot of time for myself to convince the client that that was the right approach, the client to convince the rest of the team, down to the project manager, because you really need a team who's convinced that this would be a success. And when we opened, even I thought this would fail tragically because the audience might not get it at all, it might be too ahead of its time. But I'll give you a bit of a maybe background as to why we approach it that way. I'm not a trained interior designer, I'm not a trained product designer, I'm not a trained branding person either, I'm a product designer. And when I was given this brief, I said, how is this different to everything else in the market? And right from get-go, the whole approach is how do we make something that's differentiated? Yeah. And a lot of people at the time would open restaurants that were imitators rather than differentiators.
Yes. So you approached it from a product design angle where you kind of look at a row, shelf of products, everything's the same. How can something look completely different? So it's a Bang & Olufsen of telephones.
Yes, correct. And that was my training. I mean, one of the projects I worked before that was the interior of the Concorde airplane, together with a team of 30. And when you would do this type of projects, there would be a real point of difference. Concorde was the fastest airplane in the market. That was the point of difference. And Dishoom was my second project in the restaurant world. And I said to these guys, I don't get it. What's different about it to everything else? And suddenly, all together, we went on this journey of discovering what is authentic, what is different, that will effectively become a commercial success, because you can say, this is why we're different. Yeah. And I truly believe that unless you've got that point of differentiation, you're doomed for failure.
Absolutely. Just with Trishna and Gymkhana, when you were opening that, how did you differentiate from a market that was pretty saturated in the lower end and in the top end, where you guys were playing almost? You had Cinema Club, Tamarind, the kind of Mayfair stalwarts. How did you differentiate yourselves from?
I think across our group, which is obviously a combination of fine dining and premium casual restaurants, we've got quite a few examples of disruptive brands that we've created. So yeah, Gymkhana, I guess, would be the obvious one on the fine dining Indian side, where we've looked to combine great food, great ambiance, a great look and feel, as well as a great drinks program and encapsulate it. So it really fits in with that. I guess the Mayfair set, we're in the category where we're with Zuma, Koya, Rock and the like, as opposed to just being benchmarked against the other Indian restaurants. Hoppers is a disruptor because nobody's really done what we've done with Sri Lankan food before. Bao again with Taiwanese, and I guess one of our first ones was bubble dogs, where we've taken hot dogs and tried to commercialise it, make it sexy. Yeah. I think the real unique thing about bubble dogs, people talk about the hot dogs, but the champagne list there is trying to make champagne accessible to the person on the street, as opposed to charging £12 for a glass of champagne. We're charging $6.50. Yeah. So I think we always look to disrupt, in the sense that obviously it starts with the food, and I think people sometimes forget that food is why people go to restaurants. But you do, as Aphroditi said, you do have to differentiate. You do have to have a story, you do have to have the whole package now to make things work.
Absolutely. So Chris, just bringing you in on this one actually, because what's interesting, what Joe's saying, there's a few street food operators like Bao, and a street food-esque concept, which is like hot dogs, taking a cart and elevating it into bubble dogs. Some of the brands that you're working with right now started out that way, as almost, let's take street food as a disruptor in the market. That's happened over the few years.
Yeah, that was exactly it. Both Kricket and Island Poke were street food operators. And actually, I don't think Kricket would have existed without Dishoom and Trishna, without them coming ahead of us. But you had two guys cooking Indian food in a shipping container in Brixton, and you know, it was in the middle of nowhere, and they ended up with a 2-hour queue outside of that. And clearly they were doing something very, very special with the food there, which deserved a bricks and mortar site. Similarly with Poke, these guys were street food operators. It's something that's huge in the US, and I was lucky enough to come across the guys, and yeah, we got them the site in Soho as well.
So with Kricket at the moment, and we've talked about this a few times, the people that are running Kricket are not Indian.
Yes, and I think that was a big fear when we launched it. You've got two middle-class white guys cooking Indian food, which we didn't quite know how the press was going to take to that. But actually, ultimately, it's down to the food, and there's a genuine story behind Will, the chef. He was out travelling across India and worked in Indian restaurants out there for 2 years, so he knew what he was doing. We're not trying to cook authentic Indian food as well. I think that's quite a key part.
Yeah.
He takes English ingredients and puts Indian spices onto them. And I think it's generally been quite well received by the Indian community coming in and actually seeing that he's doing something a bit different with their influence.
I don't think you had the same experience with Dishoom when it came to the older generation, the second generation Indians.
I had a different experience being a Greek person living in London and designing an authentic slice of Bombay. So when Dishoom launched, I had a lot of older Indian people calling me and saying, "How amazing!" Hi, sorry, I have a friend. How amazing that you're not even Indian and you picked up on all these things that are traditionally Indian, but at the same time, I picked up on a lot of things that were slightly politically wrong. So in the first week, I put up this artwork on the wall of Dishoom in Covent Garden, which to me looked beautiful. It was all in Hindi. Obviously, I don't speak Hindi, I don't read Hindi.
You don't?
No.
And Chris, you mentioned that, and Joe, you mentioned that as well. It's all about the food, and really it comes down to that. But I think recently we've seen a lot of kind of unique dining experiences open. So you've got the Naked restaurant. For one, you've got Sky High Dining, where you hoist 20 diners up into the sky, and there's a kitchen, and they eat up, I don't know, 50 foot up in the sky. Sounds extremely horrible to me, but anyway. But then recently we've had Street XO open. And Catherine's Fleet from The Telegraph said it's less about dining and more about Instagramming. And I know we are the Insta food generation, and I'm sure you see this in the restaurants that you're in, you operate, that people are generally. I know I'm also a culprit as well. You're always taking pictures and putting up on Instagram. But how do we? What's the kind of reaction, Joe, to something like that, where you have restaurants like Bao with queues, and that is the Instagram generation. They're food tourists almost. How do you kind of see that? Where do you see that going? And what's your reaction to the Instagramming of food and theatre of food?
I think that the theatre of food, and with technology and smartphones the way they are, it's here to stay. I think it's interesting when the Bao guys. That is a one-off in Mayfair that actually, okay, great, well, what it's done is interesting, but how many times will you go back, and how regular is that clientele?
Yeah, looking at it from the investment side, it's never usually stacks up. As a customer, it's fantastic to experience these things, and very happy people are still doing it. It's often a symptom of too much money in the system at the moment, and things like crowdfunding, throwing lots of money at wild ideas. In reality, if you open a restaurant which you are constantly changing dishes, you have to pay very expensive chefs to make that food, it's not something that becomes a viable investment. So very happy that you're doing it, but it's not something I would go into.
Do you see those restaurants coming into London helping you? Do you think they help? Do you think they help businesses like yours in terms of what you're doing? Is there kind of the food tourism side of it?
I think it's, you think about it like fashion, where you have the you sort of have the catwalk runways, which have these incredible styles on them, but in reality you just have to pick a couple of those bits and pieces, distill them into something that becomes a commercial product.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't help in the sense that these guys take good properties, pay crazy rents, pay crazy premiums, and pay crazy wages because they need to get these restaurants open. It helps us to the extent that people then, I guess, at some point, you go to the ones that where you want to go to, and you fight to quality as opposed to the sort of one-off dining experience. So it allows you to really showcase that you're better than the rest, where people aren't doing as good a job as you hopefully are.
That's really interesting. So just moving on to the next topic on the agenda is basically about look and feel. And I think everyone's pretty much got something to say about look and feel. And as a diner, as a chef, I think it's really important how something looks. But Afroditi, with your experience, how do you see the future of kind of next-gen restaurants or restaurants in the future? Are we future-proofing, or is everything fashion, trend-based? And how does that affect interiors and menu?
It's a great question, but I think unfortunately as designers you can't determine that. The market determines that for you, and you need to respond to that. I remember I met with this great chef in New York about 10 years ago, and he said, we're designing restaurants with a lifespan of 3 years. And at the time, it was a bit shocking, but fortunately, this is where the whole market is moving. It's a much more transient market. These goddamn millennials are very hard to pin down, and they go from one place to the other, and they're constantly looking for change.
They're going to change it to goddamn millennials.
Yes, goddamn millennials. I'm 42, I'm allowed to say that. But I think from an interior perspective, I've got a very strong opinion that we've reached a point of saturation where everybody, you look at certain finishes and they're used to death, which is exposed bricks, filament lamps, and it's not even something I realized in 2017. I said that back in 2006 or 7. I said I had enough of this rough and ready, that's my perspective, kind of places. But I think this fake authenticity and this fake locality, where it's not fake, it's not real at all, I think people are becoming a bit fed up, and I think the market, as we move to maybe perhaps slightly more optimistic financial times in the future, not immediately, might respond with a design language and a look and feel which is slightly more contemporary and positive and forward-looking and embracing the future rather than the past, which is a lot of what we've been doing in the last decade. It's very easy to go down this nostalgic route, and I remember in 2008 when the crisis hit London, there was this advert that came out from M&S, which was extremely nostalgic, and it was like a resurgence of everything that M&S has been doing in the last 50 years. And that's when I thought, oh dear, times are really bad. People want to go to this comforting, nostalgic view of the world, but when things are buoyant, design becomes optimistic and future-thinking, and I look forward to those times, because if I hear of one more person who says, oh, this is really local, but it actually looks like Brooklyn. There's nothing local with Brooklyn, And you go to Greece, you go to Shanghai, you go to Singapore, and you've got the same look and feel, which is effectively Brooklyn, and people call it local. I don't see what's wrong with that.
I'm going to come back to you on that point when we talk about Itsu a little bit. Chris, just want to bring you in here actually about individuality, and when you're looking at brands and you're opening new sites, how important is that individuality, and is there a DNA between all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the brands that I look at are not ones that I'm going to be rolling out 20, 30 restaurants a year. Each of them will have to be designed quite separately, and that really comes from my time at Soho House. We've opened up Soho Houses all around the world. They all have, they're all designed to the property, so it's not a cookie cutter rollout. And ideally, that's what we'll do with Kricket. The one in Soho is designed for a Soho crowd. It has the big Barafina style open kitchen and a dive bar in the basement. We're opening one in Brixton, which will be much more of the sharing tables and late night drinking. And we're doing another one in, can I give the property away? Probably not. West London and somewhere, which will be...
BBC or...
Yeah, the BBC logo. That's
I know your portfolio.
That'll be an all-day dining concept.
Yeah.
And so, but it'll all be under the Kricket's name. There'll be the sort of similar look and feel throughout. So and the food will be similar, but you do have to design to each property now.
Yeah.
With Island Poke, that one will go quicker, but again, we've just signed on one in Broadgate, which is the city, and that will be a bit slicker, a bit more grown up.
Yeah.
The one in Soho is a bit more shabby chic.
Yes. Joe, no two sites, no two brands are the same in your portfolio currently. How do you have a DNA all the way through them?
Yeah, I mean, so the way we look at bow and hoppers are probably the best ones to use as an example, where we've got two bows, the third one under a slightly different brand will open soon, and hoppers we're looking to grow that as well. I think the way we're looking at bow as a brand is it represents Taiwanese cuisine. So each menu and each interior looks and will be slightly different, and we're taking the same approach with hoppers, where hoppers obviously represent South Indian and Sri Lankan. Again, we're always, it's partly, I work with a lot of creatives, the chefs and the designers. If I was saying to them, we're just going to roll out the same thing, they'd smash me over the head with their saucepan or something. But I think it's important, and it keeps it fresh and keeps it dynamic. I wouldn't be interested in funding or investing or backing anything that was cookie cutter, to be honest.
Sure.
So I think one obvious point probably is that design isn't just the cushions and the rest of it. We are starting now to, certain trends are creeping in, like delivery is becoming such a huge part, obviously with Motu, but the way you design your sites now for the flow of being able to get delivery drivers in or deal with those grab-and-go pieces. Similarly, I think there is a move away, or there is a real desire to have big open kitchens where you can see where your food is coming from, who's preparing it, and so those are considerations that, you know, I'm by no means the designer, but they will always come in.
Of your studio?
Yeah, we have, but at the same time, and you're absolutely right. When I went into the restaurant world, which was more than a decade ago, it was a completely different world. I can't believe how much this industry has changed in less than 15 years that I've been involved in. It's quite phenomenal. And it's a great opportunity for innovation because there's so much competition. The market is extremely saturated, so that makes us all more aggressively in terms of how we do things and more clever because we're faced with this massive competition. Is the bubble going to burst? You're talking to an internal optimist. I've never believed in bursting bubbles of any sort, whether they are real or fictional. But at the same time, it does worry me that there's literally more than 200 new entrepreneurs, and we are definitely seeing more people coming to us with more and more bizarre concepts which have no longevity, that's for sure. So we reject an awful lot more projects than we used to, exactly where we went actually. So you are seeing kind of clear trends and movements, and you do think not all of them will survive when they go to market. You know, the market is not big enough.
So actually, Joe, I just want to bring you in this because you mentioned about a lot of similar concepts and a lot of bizarre concepts coming in, but it's about sustainability from a financing and financier point of view. Your financing projects have got stability, you've got longevity. How do you kind of differentiate, and how do you know that when you're looking at new concepts?
There is some science to it, but ultimately on the Indian side, it's us, me, my brother, my sister who are coming up with the ideas, the concepts, and developing them. On the non-Indian side, it's really about people. A lot of this is about what we do is about people. Do you believe in the people, and then also can that group of people address a market need or a gap in the market?
Yeah.
Our partnership with the Bao guys in Taiwanese cuisine, for example, we've created the hoppers on the Sri Lankan side. I think in terms of your question about the centre of the country, well, I think London, in terms of sheer breadth of cuisines, probably is the leader globally.
Yes,
but I think there are, in the States, I think we've got loads of African service. Then probably Asian. I think Asian cuisine for us, for me, when I look at Asian food in London, is still a massive opportunity. Non-Indian, but Asian in terms of Chinese, Japanese, Thai, etc. So there's still a lot. There's a lot out there, but I think we can do better in a number of different areas and look to other parts of the world to learn from them in those areas. In terms of with the 200 restaurants opening in a year, I touched on it earlier, it's becoming increasingly difficult to operate a viable restaurant in London because landlords, it starts with landlords, they're putting pressure in terms of rent, because they know that somebody international who wants to open in London will pay that rent and assume they can pay it and run a sustainable business. That puts pressure on those guys want to recruit people, they over-promote, they pay people top whack, puts pressure on everybody else in terms of market wages, etc., etc. And you're running teams with very inexperienced front of house and chefs. So the bubble will burst in two ways, because firstly, from a financial perspective, things aren't sustainable, and secondly, from even where you have quality restaurants which are sustainable, your challenge is retaining staff and retaining, as a result, your quality to make sure that you're delivering the same experience you were when before these guys all came in. So there is a danger. And it's a daily battle that I have and all these guys have every day that we're fighting against, because there are a number of headwinds that we just got to stay on top of. But it's a great sector to be part of, which is why we all have our different roles.
We are sadists as well, to a degree. Chris, just in this one, the bubble bursting, but also at the same time, we have to work smarter now with rates and rents rising?
Yeah, I think it's the summary of all of that is yes, it's there are much easier ways to make money than hospitality. It is as I say, rents are astronomical. It's very, very difficult to find good chefs. They'll find chefs these days to manage businesses. Business rates are going up. It is not easy, and yes, you have lots and lots of competition opening. It does provide an opportunity as well, though, that if the ones who do have a 2-hour queue outside their shipping container somewhere, or you can actually spot the ones, well, that's loosely where I try and do it, is if you can work well in London, then you have a huge opportunity to take that product and expand it across the UK and internationally, because there is so much competition there that they must be doing something very special.
Right, yeah. Right, well, I think we're starting to just run down into the clock, coming down to 30 seconds now, but thank you so much, panel today. Joe, Chris and Afroditi, thank you so much for coming in and being part of the panel. I don't know if we've got any time for questions, but if you do, someone does have a quick question here in the front, we've got a little bit of time.
Thank you very much for an interesting talk. Just a very quick one, so I wanted to get your opinion on all of these big food delivery networks like Deliveroo, Just Eat, Uber Eats. I haven't done the research, but I think I'm right in saying there's a growing trend in more people using delivery because of the ease of the delivery. So I wonder how that's affecting the kind of business mix. Do you see it growing in the future? And then obviously you're investing a lot of money in real estate. So are you looking? I know Deliveroo now doing like they're building kind of places where you can exactly. So how do you see that evolving? And is that kind of like not the death of the restaurant, but do you see it under the plan because of that? And are you going to shift the focus towards that, or how are you combating it, and what's the kind of?
Thank you for asking that question, because we ran out, and that was one of the questions I wanted to ask. But Joe, I think this is a good one for you, because what is?
Yeah, so we got approached by Deliveroo summer last year to see if we were interested in the Roobox project, where they're developing remote kitchens in suburban areas which are underserved with physical bricks and mortar sites, and they want to bring better supply into those areas, which obviously feeds their technology platform. So we created Motors, a new brand, to target what we thought was what we still believe is an underserved market in terms of quality Indian food delivered to people's homes. And the delivery model was a great way for us to test it, because I don't know if there's any delivery in the room, they pay for a lot of the property costs, the operating costs. You provide the product, obviously, and staff it. And it's a good way for us to test a completely different business model to what we have on the restaurant side. I think it's a big market opportunity. It has completely different challenges for us as Motu, in terms of it's difficult to retain the same quality, which is why we firstly created different brands and didn't tarnish any of our other Michelin style Indian restaurants. We relied on deliveries, the technology platform, we relied on deliveries drivers who are intrinsically linked with your food and your product. I think that people always look to New York and the States as the benchmark for delivery and eating. I think the UK is significantly underserved with quality operators and quality offerings that people can eat at home, and that's what we're looking to try and do. I think it's here to stay. It doesn't impact our restaurants in central London or our restaurants in W1 at all. Some of them are on the platform and we get a little bit of incremental revenue out of them, but in W1 it's not a disruptive, delivery is not a disruptor for us, it's an opportunity to increase revenue slightly.
Thank you very much, that's great. Thank you very much to our panel today.
Excellent guys, thanks very much indeed for that, that was great, really insightful.